Okay, so you first pay respects to the Buddha by giving 3 bows to the Buddha. First bow, second bow, and third bow. Okay, then we do the opening chant. Homage. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. 3 refuges. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. And the 5 precepts. Pāṇātipada vēramaṇī sikkhapaddaṃ samadhiyāmi. Adinādāna vēramaṇī sikkhapaddaṃ samadhiyāmi. Kāmesu micchācārā vēramaṇī sikkhapaddaṃ samadhiyāmi. Musāvādā vēramaṇī sikkhapaddaṃ samadhiyāmi. Suramēraya majjapamādāṭthāna vēramaṇī sikkhapaddaṃ samadhiyāmi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so good evening to one and all. This year's theme, we are talking about sort of going against the stream. So the stream represents craving. So it's about practicing how to overcome craving, like basically. So any particular teaching would sort of encompass that. So because due to a lack of suggestion, so I'll just randomly come up with any scripture that talks about it. So if you do have any suggestions, do feel free to let me know so that we can present that instead. Okay, so today I'll just cover this. Uddesa-vibhaṅga Sutta, Majjhima Nikāya 138. So we have like half an hour to sort of present some theory to keep our minds thinking about the Dhamma, and that is also helpful in meditation. Gives the mind some energy, aside from chanting. So chanting is more like the faith aspect, so the investigation or the analyzing of the Dhamma, right, will sort of increase the wisdom aspect. Okay, next. Okay, so most of the suttas will start off with this. The trademark of Venerable Ananda, he sort of repeats what the Buddha taught. Right. I have heard that on one occasion the Blessed One was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. Right? So Anathapindika is a rich merchant that donated this land and built this monastery for the Buddha. There he addressed the monks. Right? So this is the Buddha talking. Yes, Lord, the monks responded to him. The Blessed One said, Monks, I will teach you a statement and its analysis. Listen and pay close attention. I will speak. Okay, so then the monks replied, as you say, Lord. The monks responded to him. Okay, so normally when you talk about Dhamma talks, there are normally like two possibilities. One possibility is someone invite any Sangha member or invite the Buddha to teach. So that is through one method. Another method is the head monk or the most senior monk will just speak directly. So in this case, the Buddha, without invitation, he just feel like teaching. Then he just teach lah. So probably feel that's the right occasion, then he sort of teach. So there's a reason why there's this thing called a request, because Dhamma is always demand and supply, right? Although we talk about Dhamma is the highest gift, the most sublime gift, and it's the gift of the truth. But if we overdo it, and keep on talking about Dhamma, then people treat it as rubbish, as it's like open tap water. So it becomes devalued. So you keep talking and talking. It's like reading an encyclopedia to you over and over, and all the contents is like you kind of want to shut off, no? Because there is attention span, and there's also interest, a level of interest. There are multiple factors of the audience. Yeah. So in this case, probably the monks are ready to listen. Then the Buddha starts teaching. Okay, next. The Blessed One said, a monk should investigate in such a way that his consciousness neither externally scattered and diffused. So this is the first statement, nor internally positioned. So this is another sort of position of the mind. He would, from lack of clinging sustenance, be unagitated. So if a monk or any practitioner investigate, right, and properly, then the mind will be sort of free from agitation. And the second statement is more like to affirm the first one. When his consciousness neither externally scattered and diffused, nor internally positioned, from lack of clinging or sustenance, he would be unagitated. There is no seed for the conditions for future birth, aging, death, or stress. So this is just a talk. So basically this Dhamma talk by the Buddha is less than 1 minute. Less than 1 minute, then he left. So that is what the Blessed One said. Having said it, he, the one well gone, which is the Buddha, got up from his seat and went into his dwelling, went back to his room. So that's the end of the Dhamma talk. So the Buddha don't give 2-hour lecture or 1 hour lecture. He just give one statement and say, okay, that's it, then that's the end. So, but at the beginning, he said he'll give a statement and its analysis. So in this case, he just gave a statement, but he didn't give an analysis, right? So there might be a rationale behind it. Maybe he wants the monks to crack their brain to think about the statement. He doesn't want to give it for free, make them investigate themselves. I think that would be the probable cause. Or he might foresee the monks approaching another monk to get advice. So by reading this statement, do you all get what it means? It's a bit like a puzzle or a kind of riddle. Okay, so in the Buddhist teaching, we always talk about avoiding the extremes. So in this case, they are avoiding two positions of the mind. So avoid being scattered, externally scattered, and avoid internally positioned. So they cover the sort of extremes, avoiding the extremes. Okay, so I don't want to explain now. I'll go forward and probably the scripture will explain better. Okay, next. Okay, then not long after the Blessed One left, this thought occurred to the monks, and this brief statement the Blessed One made, after which he went into his dwelling without analyzing. So this is what the monks thought. Hey, the Buddha promised, not promised, he make an opening statement that he'll make an opening, he'll make this brief statement plus his analysis. But then after making the statement of this teaching, he never analyzed. So what does this mean? What is this consciousness diffuse? What is this scattered or external? What is internally positioned? And what is this? What lack of clinging, sustenance, all those stuff, right? So there are lots of jargon, right? So so the monks also don't know what it means, and the monks have no idea. So let's move on. So it's the same statement as before. Okay, then the monks, not knowing the meaning of that statement, right? Now, who might analyze the unanalyzed detailed meaning of this brief statement? Then the thought occurred to them. Venerable Maha Kaccana is praised by the teacher and esteemed by his observant companions in the holy life. He is capable of analyzing the unanalyzed detailed meaning of this brief statement. Suppose we will go to him and on arrival cross-question him about this matter. So they plan to go to this Venerable Maha Kaccana. So the Buddha has like a list of foremost disciples. So Venerable Maha Kaccana is one of the foremost in analyzing and explaining any brief statement in detail. So that's the specialty of Venerable Maha Kaccana, other than this Venerable Sariputta. So Venerable Sariputta is the chief disciple of the Buddha, foremost in wisdom. So there's another monk, so happened, right? Venerable Maha Kaccana, who is able to analyze and explain in detail as well. So the monks went to Venerable Maha Kaccana, and on arrival exchanged courteous greetings with him. After an exchange of friendly greetings and courtesies, they sat to one side. As they were standing there, they told him what had happened and added, "Analyze the meaning, Venerable Maha Kaccana." Right? So, so they, when any monks they meet, we have this like kind of a formal greeting. We need to anjali each other. So in the Theravada tradition, only monks do this to monks. Do this placing the palm together. You normally won't see Theravada monks doing this to a layperson. So this is the Theravada culture. But in the Mahayana tradition, they do this to everybody. They greet everybody. Amitofo, and they put the palms together and greet everybody. So there's some cultural difference. Probably one of the reasons is that they do the greeting, like the junior will start doing this first. It's more like showing respect. So for the Theravada sort of monastic rule, somehow they interpret it in a way that they only can sort of pay respect, take refuge in the triple gem, and pay respect to the triple gem. So they sort of like only do this to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And for most Buddhist countries, they also do this as a cultural, social greeting. So there's two cultures involved. One is the monastic. One is the Buddhist etiquette, the palm anjali together, and one is a social greeting. So there are two combined together. Theravada monks, they only do this to monks, but they don't do this to lay person. We sort of like renounce from the lay person's social kind of habit. Probably in the Mahayana tradition, they treat everybody like they have this Buddha nature or Buddha potential. So everybody has this potential to reach enlightenment. So probably a different perspective. Yeah, so they ended with a courtesy, so the monks, do their bowing or whatever, chit-chat, and the real Dhamma discussion begin. Next. Okay, so this Venerable Mahakaccana is sort of very humble. He's telling the monks, hey, you meet the Buddha, why don't you ask the Buddha now? Why you ask me for what? And so this is what he's going to reply. Friends, it's as if a man needing hardwood, looking for hardwood, wandering in search of hardwood, passing over the root and trunk of a standing tree possessed of hardwood, were to imagine that hardwood should be sought among its branches and leaves. So it is with you who have bypassed the Blessed One when you were face to face with him, the teacher. Imagine that I should be asked about this matter. So the Venerable Mahakaccana gave an example, analogy. If a person wants to find, let's say, a solid tree trunk, let's say he's a carpenter or whatever reason, he needs to chop the wood to get the solid, the hard wood. So he's referring the hardwood as the Buddha, and the Buddha's explanation, that's the hardwood. But instead of looking for the hardwood, you go and look for the little twigs, the branches and the leaves, things that cannot make the furniture. That's what he's saying. He's comparing himself as these branches and leaves to the Buddha being the hardwood. Right? So he's saying, hey, why you monks look for me? I'm like the ikan bilis, I'm the nobody. You should look for the Buddha to explain. Carry on. For knowing the Blessed One knows, seeing he sees. He is the I, he is knowledge, he is Dhamma, he is Brahma. Yeah? So in this case, the creator of the teachings, or the source of the teachings, source of the truth. He is the speaker, the proclaimer, the elucidator of meaning, the giver of the deathless, the Lord of the Dhamma, the Tathagata. Yeah, so the deathless, Susan asked before last week, so the deathless, it means getting this Nibbana, yeah? How to overcome this birth and death. It's not about you practice the Dhamma, then you won't die. Physically, yes, we go through this process of aging and death, but the mind is unshaken beyond birth and death. Okay, that was the time when you should have cross-questioned him about this matter. However he answered, that was how you should have remembered it. Yeah, so this is what Venerable Mahakaccana sort of told the monks. You should ask the Buddha, don't go and ask me. Right, so next slide. So the monks responded, yes, friend Kaccana. So very interesting, right? So the monks called Venerable Mahakaccana as friend, and Venerable Mahakaccana also called the monks as friend. Friend in the Pali word is called avuso. So before the Buddha passed away, the monks sort of don't really distinguish so much in terms of seniority. Don't distinguish so much in seniority. So probably in between also, when the Buddha was still alive, the Buddha implemented the seniority, kind of, who goes first and last and stuff like that, who should pay respect and stuff like that. But amongst their conversation, they call themselves friend, friend to friend. But before the Buddha passed away, in the Maha Parinibbana Sutta, at the last days of the Buddha set this interesting protocol, which is the junior monk shouldn't call the senior monk's friend. Shouldn't call the senior monk's friend. I should call them Bante. Call them, respect their seniority. Call them Venerable Sir or Venerable Teacher. But the senior monk can call the junior monk's friend. So that's more like the monastic protocol. So just for your info only. Knowing the Blessed One knows, seeing he sees, he is the I, he is the knowledge, the Dhamma, he is Brahma, he is the speaker, proclaimer, elucidator of meaning, the giver of deathless, the Lord of the Dhamma, the Tathagata. That was a time when we should have cross-questioned him about this matter, right? However, he answered that was how we should have remembered it, right? So the rest of the monks, they acknowledge what this Venerable Maha Kaccana has mentioned. They know the Buddha is the great teacher, but the Buddha left teacher, or in any case, right? Even right now, let's say the teacher, any senior monk sort of makes their move. Sometimes they feel a bit paiseh, they want to leave already. Don't hold them back, right? But you are praised by the teacher and esteemed by observant companions in the holy life. You are capable of analyzing the unanalyzed detailed meaning of this brief statement. Analyze the meaning, Venerable Maha Kaccana, without making it difficult. And that means try to analyze in a way that people can understand. Don't analyze until make it more cheap. The brief statement already very profound. Don't analyze and make it more complicated. So they request a simple explanation from this Venerable Maha Kaccana. So let's see what Venerable Maha Kaccana has to explain. In that case, my friends, listen and pay close attention. I will speak. As you say, friend, the monks responded to him. So they call friend to friend. Venerable Maha Kaccana said this. Concerning the brief statement the Blessed One made, after which he entered his dwelling without analyzing the detailed meaning. Okay, so this is a statement I will repeat again. A monk should investigate in such a way that his consciousness neither externally scattered and diffused. So this is the first one. Nor internally positioned. This is the second one. He would, from lack of clinging, sustenance, be unagitated. When his consciousness neither externally scattered and diffused, nor internally positioned, from lack of clinging or sustenance, he will be unagitated. There is no seed for the conditions for future birth, aging, death, or stress. I understand the detailed meaning to be this. So now he's speaking from his point of view. Next. Okay, so this is the first statement. How is consciousness said to be scattered and diffused? Right, so what is consciousness and what is scattered and diffused? Okay, there is the case where having seen a form with the eye, consciousness flows the drift. So we talk about stream and craving in our previous sessions. So they always like to give an analogy of following flows. Flows after the theme of the form is tied to the attraction of the theme of the form, is chained to the attraction of the theme of the form, is fettered and joined to the attraction of the theme of the form. So this is how consciousness is said to be externally scattered and diffused. So what is a scattered mind? Right. So normally we say, I come for meditation class, need some time to settle down the mind because my mind very scattered. Because this shows throughout the whole day, we never do our maintenance. So we are being careless the whole day. We see anything nice, so nice. Then you have thoughts of greed, thoughts of anger. We hear anything nice, thoughts of greed, thoughts of anger. So no maintenance throughout the whole day. So last minute come to the sitting, then you try to force the mind to calm down. So this is the problem. This is called scattered mind. Scattered mind, scattered and diffused. The reason why there's tying to the nice forms is due to greed. So there are a few things we're going to talk about, a few terms. Normally we talk about the sixth sextet, which is last year's, is it last year's? Yeah, last year's session. So there are 6 times 6 things you need to know. First, we have the bodily organs. So in this case, with the eye, so this is one of the factors to perceive things in life. So we need the organ, sense organ number 1. Then we have the external image, external form. So this is the second criteria. When there's eye and there's an image, let's say the image on your screen, then I consciousness arise. That means you're aware of that image. You're able to cognize that image. So this is called I consciousness arise. Yeah. If your eye is not working, let's say a person is blind, then I consciousness do not arise. Yeah. So dependent on the eye, dependent on the external object, the image, then I consciousness arise. Right. So likewise for the hearing. Likewise for the hearing, because of the ear organ, and then there's you have your headset or you have the speakers from coming out from your system, then ear consciousness arises. You're able to hear what I'm saying. Yeah, so this is called ear consciousness. And likewise for the nose, the tongue, the body, your nervous system, your touch, right, and the thinking. So we said there are 6 senses. So thinking would be like, let's say, your brain. Let's say you imagine what have you, or you think of what have you had, your meal, what kind of meal you had earlier, maybe dinner or lunch or breakfast, whatever it is. Only you yourself can experience it. Yeah, I cannot experience what you experience. Call this mind or consciousness. So if I were to see the eye, it's called eye consciousness. If let's say if I can hear from my ears, then we call this ear consciousness. So total, in this particular context, there are these 6 consciousness, 6 sense door consciousness. Consciousness has many definitions, many meaning, especially if you talk about other religions, maybe Hinduism or sometimes New Age religions. They'll tell you, oh, consciousness can go from body to body and stuff like that. So that's a different definition of consciousness. For this particular case, it's not about rebirth, it's about moment to moment. So every time this awareness arises and this attention arises, it's called consciousness. And the meeting of these 3 things, let's say the meeting of the eye, meeting of the image, and meeting of this eye consciousness, then contact arises. So what is contact? Contact means you're really paying attention to. For example, right now we have all our senses working, right? But when I'm talking, are you able to feel your heartbeat at the same time? Before I mention heartbeat, you never feel your heartbeat, right? Correct? Because there's no contact. No contact to your chest, no contact to the nervous system, to your heartbeat. So the nervous system, which is the body organ, is there all the time, is there. The heart is beating, right? The movement is there all the time. Your body conscious, you're aware of it, but there's no contact. So what this is saying is that our 6 senses are operating, but we are not omnipresent, we are not omniscient, all awareing all the time. So that's how the 6 sense doors work. So we sort of pay attention to sort of one thing at one time. The whole idea is later on, probably in the meditation, we are going to sort of look at one thing at one time. Hopefully, we can do something about it. Okay, so I'll stop for this particular session for today. I don't want to go through everything at one time, if not brain damage. Questions from the ground at the moment? All okay? Yes, yes, say that.
Bhante, I just want to clarify the meaning of not to put the consciousness outside in the scripture. It means that we are trying not to identify them, not to have that mental labeling.
Oh, no, not that. What it means is not to get attracted, not to get tied to the forms, and not to get enticed by the external sort of sense stimuli. So we still can see and hear, smell, think, taste, and touch, but there's a technique, how to not get attached. Yeah, because when we are attached, then there will be suffering. One good example, probably in my class, I talk about the neuroscientific experiment of the robot arm, but I won't explain here. I will talk about, let's say, something more common. Let's say TV shows, dramas, and movies. Let's say I don't know, maybe let's say for a scary movie, example, a scary movie. Why do you feel afraid? Why do you feel frightened? You're not in the show, right? You're not inside there. Why do you feel scared? Yeah, because we are enticed. Then our being, our entirety of being, feel as though it is real, it's there, as though we suffer. Even though we are not in that spooky mansion, we are not chased after by the monster or not being attacked, but we feel the sort of pain or feel the scare when the character is being attacked or the victim is being whatever. Yeah? So that is being tied. Yeah, being tied to the image, tied to the sound, tied to the whatever ambience, whatever the music they try to make us feel, to entice us into that storyline. So that's like a samsara within a samsara. So we are sort of appear, we become that being inside that story, even though we are seated outside, outside the screen, and of course that story is not even real in the first place. It's an act. So even though it is a fake story and we are not inside, but mentally we are inside, we are tied. So that's why we suffer. All right. So Buddhism is not about don't see don't dig out your eyes, dig out your ear, dig out your pull out your tongue. No, it's not like that. Yeah, so it's about we still can perform normally, but what kind of technique to apply to become like Teflon eventually, ideally, the mind like non-stick, not get tied away. So back to basics, the Four Noble Truths and Noble Eightfold Path. So I'll always repeat right thought, right effort throughout the meditation. But of course, outside the meditation, you need to have this proper lifestyle, proper behavior. So that's why in the beginning of the session, we have the chant on the 5 precepts. So I'm not sure whether everyone is a Buddhist here. So for Buddhists, we need to sort of try to adhere to the 5 precepts. And it's a moral code to make our mind free from remorse. Okay, so hopefully that kind of helps in the answer. Anyone else want to ask questions?
Hi, Bante.
Yeah.
Okay. Over last week, right, I pondered upon this situation, right. It's not really related to today's lessons content, but it's more of with regards to that craving of annihilation clarification, right? So I in some situations, some Buddhist monks are not necessarily restricted to Theravada Buddhism, right? They meditate to the extent whereby they truly follow the shoes of Buddha himself, right? Meditate for days, weeks without food, and then eventually pass on due to *emmulsion*. Yeah, something like this, right? So
*emmulsion* means starving, malnutrition, or
yes. So yeah, like what like what Buddha eventually meditated to the extent whereby the devas said that if you do not eat, I will send divine nutrition to you, the kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So does that actually comes under the classification of craving for annihilation? That means
there is, yeah.
there is, right?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
So is that technically kind of like illegal to do in a sense?
Yeah. Interestingly, yeah, wearing robes doesn't make us perfect. So no, no, there are monks who don't really practice correctly according to the middle way. So we do need to take the Buddha's life story in proper context. So, of course, the initial fasting, when the Buddha sort of practiced the 6 years of this asceticism, the first two teachers he learned was these very deep states of formless concentration. They entered this realm of nothingness and this realm of neither perception or non-perception, very deep states of stillness, because at that point of time, at least their point of view is that by freezing the karma, everything quiet, everything still means free from suffering. So that is one point of view. So of course, our Bodhisattva Gautama at that time, he found that, hey, you freeze the karma, but then you still need to move around, you still need to makan, still need to go toilet. So there's movement. You cannot freeze it 24/7. So there's something wrong with that philosophy of freezing the karma. So he decided to go to the other school. Once he sort of completed at least he attained that state of mind of these two concentrations. Then he went to the other popular school of thought, which is burning the karma, which is what you mentioned, all the ascetic and torturing practices, because most Indian religions, they also talk about karma. We reap what we sow. So in that sense, they try to deliberately, fast forward the ripening process. So they torture themselves to burn away the bad karma. So that is one system of belief. So he tried it for the rest of his time, of the 6 years, to torture himself. Regarding the putting of the divine food on the skin, the Buddha received such offer from the Devas when he was fasting, about to die. At one point of time, the Devas was telling him, hey, if you carry on like this, you might die, So do you want to put this, we give you divine heavenly nectar, we apply on the skin, you diffuse into you, then you don't need to makan. So that was the Deva's offer. Of course, the Buddha refused. He was thinking, if like that, then it's called playing cheat, playing cheat. Yeah, then what's the point of burning your bad karma? You get the divine food. But interestingly, this is not a fairy tale story. It might be real, because there's a modern day example of this happening. It happened to this Hindu yogi called Prahlad. I think you can search yourself, Pralad. I'm not sure. Prahlad, Jani. So you can search for him. I think he passed away already. He has been fasting, not drinking and eating for more than 70 years. Not drinking even. So this is the guy, amazing guy, being put to the hospital. The doctors very interested now. They want to end the world hunger. Put him in hospital with cameras. Then they even, but he's very poor thing, subjected to cameras, looking at him all the time. So for 1 week, he's being tortured by the medical staff. Need to do blood tests, on the uric test, come in every once in a while to draw his blood. So so he gone through this thing. But during an interview, I believe he mentioned how come he doesn't need to eat. He said in his vision, this particular one of the deity came up and told him, from today onwards, you don't have to eat and drink anymore. And that's it. He doesn't need to eat and drink. Right? So so there is some merit to this story. The Devas offered our Buddha to be, the Bodhisattva, ascetic Gautama, about the food thing. And of course, after some time, he sort of practiced his fasting. Then he sort of gave up the fasting, and because he supposedly, according to the traditional account, listened to some musician playing. Then the music teacher mentioned, but if you pull the string too tight, it will snap. If you make the string too loose, then you cannot play any music at all. So he was thinking about the middle way. Why don't you take some food and regain his strength and try again? So that was the middle way. So, but at the last moment, when after he gained his strength, he did faster again, right? Because his point of view was he tried all the systems already, the popular system at that time. And at that moment, he sort of discovered a new way. He recalled when he was a child, he entered the first jhana, first level of concentration. And he was like thinking, hey, nobody taught first jhana. No ascetic community at that time taught the first jhana. So he was like the first to discover it. So the first jhana has this, first level of concentration has this joy and happiness, which probably a lot of ascetics mistaken as sensual pleasure. But this joy and happiness is derived of wholesomeness and by withdrawing from the senses. So in that case, the Buddha sort of invented or rediscovered the jhana to jhana method, how to enter from the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and the eighth. So because he discovered this theory or this technique, he put his life on the line. So this is his final bet. To him, it's like, if it doesn't work, then no point living. So I think he sat under the Bodhi tree and sort of made this vow that he shall not leave this seat until he discovered the truth. So even though his flesh may dry up, his blood may dry up and whatever not, he will not leave the seat. So that was his second fasting attempt. Second fasting. So that fasting attempt is after he know what he's doing. So for the sort of the monks who are doing fasting now, they may not know what they are doing, and so that's the sad thing.
Understand, Bhante.
Okay, all right. Anyone wants to ask questions? Okay, if not, we go for a 5-minute break. You can do a stretching, and we come back for this guided meditation. See you all later. Okay, all right. I guess everyone's back. Anyone else has any issues before we start? If not, then we can proceed. So we're going to find comfortable sitting position. Make sure your back is upright and the rest of the body relaxed. Okay, so what we are going to do is being mindful of the body. So we're going to be mindful of what? We're going to be mindful of the 4 element sensations of the body. So the 4 elements are basically 4 classifications of sensations. And they're called the earth, fire, wind, water elements. So the earth represents any hard or soft sensations. Fire would be any temperature, hot or cold sensations in the body. Wind element represents any kind of movement, fast or slow movements within the body. And the water element, moist or dry. So this is using the body sense door. And if you're able to feel the sensations, that is using your body consciousness. So there is no need to deliberately create any sensation. And if let's say you cannot classify any of this experience into whatever elemental category, doesn't matter. It's just a general guideline. So the whole idea is we let the sensations appear naturally by itself. So when it appears, and if let's say your mind do not do anything, you feel any sensation appear, if it's a nice sensation, then the mind will have greed, it will cling. Oh, this is very shock, I like it. Your mind will be, you flow and get tired and drift away to that sensation. So that is one extreme. The other extreme is this sensation appear unpleasant, I don't like it. Then you develop aversion, you want to get rid, you want to remove it. So that is aversion, anger. So now we are going to practice the middle way. So the middle way will be avoiding these two extremes, and we are going to apply this right thought. Every time you detect any new sensation, we are going to wish it well and happy. So this is not about wishing my body well and happy. The phrasing should be, you wish that sensation well and happy. So if you detect any new sensation appear, you wish it well and happy. And if a new sensation arises again, then you wish it well and happy. So the whole idea is repetition. Once you do nothing only to any sensation, there's a strong tendency the mind will get pulled away to that, either greed or hatred. This is part of right thought and right effort in the Noble Eightfold Path. So if you're able to observe how the mind calms down, then you understand the concept of the flow of craving. So the mind calm down means it's going against the stream of craving. So that's just a side note, observing the calming of the mind. Emphasis is on wishing the sensations well and happy. Okay, if your mind is generally calm, then we call this a restricted mind. It means your area of attention is still within the confines of the body, a restricted form of this loving kindness. So now we're going to sort of expand this loving kindness, make it more boundless. We're going to wish all beings in all directions well and happy. So there's no need to push your attention outward. You just make a gentle wish, all beings, all directions, may they be well and happy. And we let the mind extend by itself. No need to visualize anything. It's just purely sensation. So we are going to perceive all beings being made up of these sensational experiences. All beings are made of these four elements, and whenever we detect any sensation, near or far, inside the body or even outside the body, we are going to wish all beings well and happy. So when you detect a new sensation arise, we wish all beings well and happy. New sensation arise, may all beings be well and happy. Emphasis is on generating the right thought every moment. Anything else is side view, side distraction. It's like traveling on a journey. We follow the middle path, the Eightfold Path. Everything else is just passing sceneries. Or sensations or emotions that come across are just passing sceneries. Keep wishing all beings well and happy. And if a person keeps repeating this wish for all beings to be well and happy, one may enter this first level of concentration, which is denoted by the emotion of joy and happiness. So if there's any increment of joy and happiness from the restricted loving kindness from earlier, and that would indicate this level of concentration. And regardless of what you experience, continue to wish all beings well and happy. If we hold on to any pleasant states of mind, any calm states of mind, it's like parking, stopping at the passing this scenery. Maybe a lamp post, you see, find it nice, or a landmark, you just stop there. And you forget about traveling the path. So we just acknowledge that it's there, but keep traveling. Wish all beings well and happy. Okay, next we add some insight, some wisdom to that, and we are going to reflect on how to cultivate a more detached or more unconditional kind of loving kindness. So we are going to keep observing and reflecting on impermanence. So all the sensations keep changing, they come and go. So aside from observing this evidence, your personal evidence, we also can sub-vocalize in your mind. We keep repeating, this is impermanent, change, rising, passing, whichever label that you wish to use. And we just sort of keep repeating like a mantra. So that label has to be associated with impermanence. So with impermanence, it will sort of flush and is craving down further against the stream. And your challenge is to see how far the mind can calm down. So we keep paddling the boat against the stream, keep reflecting on impermanence. So the initial detachment may have like a surge of joy. That's one of the landmarks that you pass by. So if it's gone, never mind. Continue your journey. Don't need to go stand and look for it. So no matter how peaceful, also keep traveling the path, reflecting on impermanence. Stopping and the stillness is this craving for eternalism. And if a person distracted by sensual thoughts, worries, desires, fantasies, it's called craving for sensual pleasure. So the middle way out of this is always mindful of impermanence. So this middle way requires this technique, right? Right thought, right effort, right mindfulness, everything, Noble Eightfold Path. So if a person sort of rely on fasting only, just to make oneself weaken or reduce certain craving, that's not skillful technique itself. Okay, and if let's say that joy or happiness start to disappear, and one may probably experience this neutral and refreshing emotion, we call this equanimity. And regardless of what you experience, continue to be mindful of impermanence. So it is believed that the combination of this loving kindness and impermanence may lead to the fourth level of concentration, denoted by this equanimity. Okay, so that is practicing impermanence while in a concentrative state. So now we are going to sort of power down the mind. So we're going to now feel the entire body. So without that additional assistance, assisted state of peace, can we still practice non-scattering of the mind? Okay, so now we are going to let the mind freestyle. So there's no need to control the mind, no need to fix it anywhere, no need to restrict it, no need to push it in any direction. We let the mind wander wherever it wants to wander. But wherever it goes, you just need to observe how it arises, how it passes away, the impermanence of this attention. So this attention can move around through your six senses, your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So 6 doorways to look out for. So the whole idea is not to control this movement. Let the mind operate the most natural way as possible. but you just observe how it arises and how it passes away. So the craving meter, this indicator of craving, is still the same concept as before. Previous styles of meditation, observe how this agitated mind or this mind settling down, even in this freestyle mode, also can observe how this craving arise or settle down. So if the mind freestyle and then you stuck with the nice stimuli or unpleasant stimuli, then there will be craving, craving and agitation. But if you stick to the path, stick to the reflection of impermanence, then there should be detachment. The mind should get calmer. And to assist this investigation or this observation, you may use the teachings from earlier, the 6 sense doors, your 6 sense organ, your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, and you have this external stimuli, external forms, external sounds, external smell, and so on and so forth. And you have the third component, which is the awareness, your eye consciousness, ear consciousness, so on and so forth. The awareness and eventually the attention. So the attention is basically contact. A more focused form of awareness. So that is contact. And then you can observe, are these permanent by itself without you doing anything? Are they forever there? Is your attention always, let's say, to the hearing? If, let's say, I stop talking, where is your attention now? So this is a moment-to-moment catching game. And then you can investigate where does this attention, this consciousness come from? How does it arise? Where does it arise from? So this is the side project. Main emphasis is to observe the impermanent nature of all these movements. So some teachings that there are stay with awareness, stay with awareness. Actually, we should observe the impermanence of this awareness. Huh? Without impermanence and detachment, the craving for this eternalism is still there. And the whole idea is with the reduction of craving, then you need to observe this sense of self or this ego or this selfishness. The intensity, is it increasing or decreasing? So that's the indicator. So when there is a strong sense of self, this ego or selfishness, then I will suffer, I will feel pain, I will feel unhappy. But when this self is become more and more selfless, and who is feeling pain, yeah? Who is feeling upset? So the side challenge, which is to see how far the mind can calm down and find out where's the source of this sort of consciousness, is to keep the mind awake. Whole idea is to keep investigating on impermanence and not park at the sidelines of the stillness. Okay, so before we conclude, always be mindful of impermanence in all activities, standing, sitting, walking, or lying down, yeah? So with that, we can gently open our eyes, formally end the session, but informally still can generate right thought. Okay. Anyone has any questions or problems? All okay? All right, if there's no issues, then we're going to move on to the dedication chant. Anumodana. Akasatha ca bhumata devanaga mahitika punyang tang anumoditva cirang rakantu loka sasanang etavata ca amhehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe deva sabbe bhuta sabbe sada anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Dedication of merits to the departed. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Aspiration. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yavani bana patiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, then we bow 3 times in the Buddha. First bow, second bow, and the third bow. Okay, that's it. Any announcements from Terence? If not, see you all next week and good night.